I think it was on the RX Live or one of the other calls that I did. But I am making a commitment to all of you as well, because I believe that for you, for me to expect something extraordinary, meaning to enroll a new person each week or more, that I better be willing to do the same thing. Now, I'm not a rep. I don't have an organization. I realize that. I can't physically enroll someone. However, I am making a commitment to this team that I will set the lead, that I will enroll or refer to be enrolled at least one person per week, to show you that someone that doesn't build an organization can do this. It's just a matter of talking to enough people. And I've had a couple of great conversations this week. So if I'm coming to your city and I'm on the way and I'm having a conversation with someone and they are ready to enroll, I'm going to refer that to the host of the city only if that host is enrolling one person a week. Or I'm going to find somebody in that city that is enrolling at least one person per week. So this is all about activity. It's all about action. And I'm willing to put my, not money where my mouth is, I'm willing to put my action where my mouth is and tell you that I am stepping up to the plate as well. So that's what this is all about. And these calls are going to be training opportunity calls, not opportunity calls, but opportunity to learn from the best about how to enroll, language of enrolling. And someone that I really have a lot of respect for is here at the meeting in Calgary. And she's one of the top earners that came to us. There was an artist previously known as New Sarity. And I have asked her to share for a few minutes. She's talked to me multiple times this week about how important it is right now to strike while the iron's hot and to rebuild by enrolling. And so Shannon Melnick from Calgary, will you step in here and just share some of the things that you've shared with me just briefly, just for you know.
Okay, perfect.
So yeah.
So I've been on a mission since probably the last few months. I think I've personally enrolled 17 people, and we're just starting to duplicate. So just don't give up. Just keep enrolling people. And we're just really excited about the new momentum that we have with new teams and rebuilding, because you have to start it to do it as a leader. If you want your team to do it, you have to start it. So that's what we're doing here in Calgary, Canada, and we're just really excited about the new momentum, and it's just fun and it's awesome. Yeah. And so thank you, Rick and Allison, for coming to Calgary.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and Shannon, you and I were talking, and I know you had a fairly sizable organization with New Sarity, and with that sizable organization, though, you're now looking at this as kind of a restart. So how does somebody with a sizable organization still look at this as a restart?
Well, I'm very blessed because we have so many leaders throughout our whole team that I don't need to look after them. Our leaders, the individual leaders, look after their individual teams. And so it was a decision. I had to make a decision to go personally recruit more people and change more lives if I wanted to rebuild and influence more people. And that's my passion. I want to change thousands and millions of lives. And the only way I'm going to do that is it was a decision. I had to do it. I personally had incredible success with the products. I've lost 30 pounds so far, 20 more to go. Thank you. And adult acne gone in 6 weeks with Sincerity. I use every single product every single day, and that has completely changed my life. And so now I get to pay it forward with those same stories to other people. So it's been amazing.
She's wearing a fabulous dress, and you can't see it all because you see from here up, but you look great. But what I'm really impressed is with your energy and how you're not looking and saying, "Oh, woe is me because I used to have so much before." You're looking this as an opportunity, not as a looking back. And you said something about not looking back and looking forward.
Yeah.
Remember what that was today?
No, I don't. But I think
it was brilliant. Whatever it was.
I think this is it. As we grow, what I've made the conscious decision to do is continually enroll at least one person every single week, because what I'm finding is I'm stronger, so I'm recruiting stronger people. And because I'm recruiting stronger people, and I'm not joking, in literally a week, they're ready to go on their own and do the deal. And so I don't need to babysit people anymore because I'm better and I can recruit better people, higher quality people. And you've met them, they're incredible.
Oh, yeah,
people.
awesome.
They're incredible.
Yeah.
They're just, and young and old, we're all over the map, but very, very strong leaders. All over, Canada and the world, and we're just continually enrolling. I saw Dylan's name pop up. Yeah, he's one of the superstars. He's only 24 years old, but watch out for this kid. He's not going away anytime soon. But, right?
Yes. Oh, no, yeah, I agree.
But we're gonna make sure that, but yeah, and so this is what we're doing. We're gonna keep enrolling because I need to help the new teams, build a one strong leg for them, and that's my commitment to them.
Cool. Thanks,
Yeah,
Shannon.
thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
And she said something there that I think is really key before I turn the remainder of the time over to Tim, is that, you know, I've noticed in the industry that people, just about the moment they become really deadly with enrolling in their abilities and they just are so strong, they go into management mode. They stop recruiting, which is the time they really should be continuing to fill that pipeline, and they're so good at it. But they kind of stop because they're in a different mode. They go into the management and moving pieces around and so on. And yes, there is a need to motivate. There's a need to help your organization grow. But when you stop recruiting, that energy stops, and it's when you're the best at it. And that's why I'm showing you with my action, because I don't need to do it. But for me, it's about keeping the skills home and using those things I know to help you build in what my role is. So I'm so excited about this. And again, apologize for not being able to record it, but we will catch this again. One of the top recruiters and trainers and just people in demand in this industry. Someone who, if you're going to a mastermind group of network marketers, he's on the top 5 list that you need to have there. So excited about having Tim Sales, who is our master distributor, someone that I have grown to respect a huge amount of respect for, and also just as a person, I really enjoy spending time with him. So looking forward to doing that on the beaches of the world. Please welcome Tim Sales.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for that, Rick. I greatly appreciate that, sir. And what is my time limit?
I don't know. How about 15 minutes?
15?
Sure.
All right. Well, let's rip. Okay. So I actually thought about just taking off and just recruiting somebody on this call, right? That would be the fastest way so that you can see what I do. But we'll save that for another time because I really never honestly sponsored anybody in 15 minutes. So it would be a little bit more, let me give you like like my brain dump on what I believe is involved in the process, okay? So the very first thing, and by the way, this is called the A team, not the B team or the C team or anything like that. And so if I am too much, then number one, I apologize. Number two, just cut it in half, okay? Or a quarter or whatever you want to do. All right. So I always picture, because I used to do a lot of martial arts and boxing and things like that. And I remember this one coach explaining something to me, and it was that you, the being, are occupying a body, and you, the being, are the ones who are throwing punches at the other guy, or you're ducking, right? And so he said, it's not the body fighting, it's the person inside. And I've never forgotten that, because when I go and I talk to a prospect, I know with certainty that I'm able to assist this person. I'm able to help this person. There are 57 millionaires in RX in 7 years. That's insane, okay? That's insane. And so I know what this opportunity is. And so me as a being, regardless of me, the body, I project and I transmit and I emanate all that I believe in. And so if your belief is just even a little bit shallow, whether it be on network marketing, if you got noise in your head about scam and pyramid scheme and Ponzi scheme and only a few people make money and all that junk, If you've got that, then I strongly, strongly recommend you watch a bunch of the videos that I'm just now releasing. It's on a channel. I'm just going to drop one of the videos in. Don't watch it now. You know what? I'm going to wait. Okay, I'm going to wait until the end because I don't want you to go watch that because you got me live now. But I have a lot of videos that I'm coming out with so that I'm training my team. Now I'm training everybody because I want to elevate the top of mind of everybody in network marketing about that I'm back in the game big time. And so I'm going to send you a video. Go to the channel and subscribe to it because all of this noise, I just call it noise. It's the questions that the media have put out. No, it's the statements that the media has put out that now it is noise in people's ears. There are 6 or 7 anti-network marketing people. That's all. I know them all. They will not debate me. I've called them out. I created a whole platform called MLMdebate.com. None of them will show up. And so they don't want to be debated because their comments are on fragile ground. Okay? And so I debunk every single one of these things. And so if you have any hesitations on the industry, please, all right, and remind me before I get off this call to paste the link into it, okay? All right, so number one, again, is simply you as a being have to project all the belief and your belief of RX, of network marketing, has to supersede that person's disbelief in RX, the industry, and themselves. Okay? Because just as I described the boxing match, it was never about who was stronger. It was the person who believed more that he was going to win always wins. Okay, so that's number one. So whenever I'm talking to a prospect, I know I'm at least a 10x above them in terms of belief in the industry and RX because I've been here since day one. I know all the owners. I know their, like their families and everything. So that's the way that I'm at with that. Number two is in the event that we did. I wonder if I'm going to be able to share screens if you guys are not able to. Yeah, I think I can. Okay, so for those of you that have ever watched the video called Why Tim Sales Chose RX, these are my bullet points. I'd screenshot it, however you want to grab a hold of this, but this is just kind of a template that I used for a while, but whenever somebody wants me to dance, this is my dance, okay? So why I chose RX, number one is the management team, and you have to hit number one, it's this sequence, okay? Number one, number two, number three, number four, number five. You do not go out of sequence when you're choosing a network marketing company. The biggest challenge that we have in network marketing is people do not know how to choose companies. And I know that for an absolute fact. That's the number one failing point. And so the comment that I always use is no one can be successful in a failed company. And we have seen billion-dollar companies go out of business in a year. I've seen probably 4 or 5. And so just because somebody says that they're in a company that's solid, blah, 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 I don't doubt them or anything. I don't invalidate their company or anything like that. I more just communicate that you can see weakness in management team with constant changes in the comp plan. You can see it with policies that harm the reps and things like that. And you can tell some of the pieces with, if they're terminating distributors, it says a whole lot about them. All right, and I'm talking about top leaders mostly. Okay, so the next one is, will it grow? And that was what I consulted a couple of 100 network marketing companies, and that was what they were always bringing me in for. And growth comes from leaders. Growth is not a company issue. growth is the leadership. And the leadership, in order to get powerful leaders, you have to be an ethical company. That's because ethical leaders are attracted by that. And then number two is the products, and somebody can dance around all about the products and everything, but the bottom line is do they sell outside the network? Will people buy them if they don't have to be on auto delivery? That kind of thing. So in the comp plan, the biggest thing is nobody knows the tripwires. And my first comment is normally when they say, can you compare this comp plan to whatever company that they're in or something? Then I just simply say, I can't, because your company can change your comp plan at any moment, and mine has to have approval. And so I can't change it. I mean, I can't compare it because yours can always change. So that's sort of the dialogue that I have. And then the last item is training. And I always put it back to training. And it's a secret of mine about how I do this. Okay, and I'm going to share it with you now. So in my past, I was like a really horrible in school. And I was really down on myself. I felt as though that I was just, dumb. And then I went into the military, and I really wanted to get into special operations. That's where the SEAL team is. It's where EOD, bomb squad, things like that. There's 3 main groups in there. And I really wanted in there, and somehow I scraped and clawed and did whatever it took to get into there. And that was where the magic happened, because they have a policy. They know you don't know. Nobody gets any, history on defusing bombs. Nobody gets that, right? So they assume everybody knows nothing. And then they take and they mold that individual, and they just sit there and drill and drill and drill with you until you get it right, and then until you can't do it wrong. That is what they do in there. And I go from an F student in school to learning nuclear physics, to learning underwater physics on the human body, like all kinds of things that would have been out of my world. The reason I tell you this is that everything comes down to training. If you want to get better at cooking, train. If you want to get better at fishing, train. If you want to get better at jiu-jitsu, train. If you want to get better at anything, you train. Okay? And most of the time, I find people have very little tolerance for training. And that is such a bad attitude. And so I always get in there because, come on, let's face it. A person who hears that we have 57 millionaires in RX in 7 years immediately gets afraid that they can't do it. Otherwise, why would they? I mean, if I heard that, I'd be like, I'm all in. That's all I would need to hear. You don't need to talk about anything else. Down there's your 15-minute presentation, right? Because if you really believed it, all right, and so they don't, and therefore you emphasize training, and it's why it's my close. All right, so I talk about all that other stuff, but my close is all about training, and then what I'm going to do to help that person. Okay, all right, so that's that part, and then these are all of the topics that I kind of put in the bow quiver, and I can pull any of these out at any time, and it's normally on one of my other monitors anytime that I'm doing a presentation. And so I will. Okay, can you guys still hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I was in. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, so the things that, and it depends on the prospect, because like I'm going to show you a board in just a second that I use. If a prospect, I break them into 3 categories. One is somebody who is a network marketing leader. Something happened in their company and they want to transition. Number 2 is someone who wants to own their own business, but doesn't know a lot about network marketing. And then number 3 is your product evangelist, and that's the person who will commonly make a comment like, the product is everything. So in the very initial parts of my conversations with them, I do what I've called the greeting, and the greeting has one purpose, and that is I'm going to keep chatting with them about things in their life.
No.
Can you guys do me a favor? Whoever's on Galaxy JB, can you mute your line, please, if possible? That'd be awesome. Thank you so much. You just unmuted it. So what I'm trying to do, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Let's see. Okay, so in the first conversation that I'm having, I greet somebody, and the purpose of my greeting is to get the person to talk to me. Okay, because I'm going to be digging in deeper about that person a little bit later on. And so I'm just going to exit out of this for just a second while I can talk to you. Or maybe not. Well, I was hoping I would be able to. Okay, well, I'm just going to keep on going. Okay, so I'm talking to him, and I want him to talk freely and openly to me. And so I just keep digging in. Like if I were talking to Rick, I would say, Rick, like what do you enjoy? What's your past? What have you done? Like what are your hobbies? Do you have children? What are they doing now? Like those kinds of things. And at some point, I'm going to reach my purpose of the greeting, and my purpose of the greeting is to get them to talk freely and openly to me. If you go in too fast, you've missed that opportunity for the greeting, and they shut down. They're like a turtle that pulls their legs and head in and tucks down. And so at that point, you can't help them because they are now on the defensive side. They are still doing their public relations with you instead of actually listening. Okay? Are talking about what they need. So once I find somebody hit a point of vulnerability where they'll say something like, yeah, I'd like to spend more time with my kids. Yeah, I just happened to notice that, I've only got about $300,000 in retirement and I'm supposed to retire in 3 years. And or something like that. And a lot of times I talk about that just a little bit. I was just doing this thing today with somebody, and I was showing them. Come on, there it is. Okay, so this 69% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. Okay, and so I was walking them through it, and then I showed him the next slide, which is the amount of money that a person needs to retire. $1 million will get you $40,000 a year. For 25 years, okay? $5 million in the bank will give you $200,000 a year. And if you only have $500,000, then you're going to have to live on $20,000. But 69% of all of America only have $1,000. And this right here is their retirement account, like 401ks and IRAs. And they are down in this red bracket right here, 60%. And they have less than $30,000 for retirement. They need a solution. And so if I prompt a little of these conversations just to probe around, I was doing this with a 29-year-old kid, and he looked at this and he goes, 29, okay, so 30, I should have $100,000 to $300,000 put away. I don't have that, man. I'm like, all right, well, let's get busy working on your retirement. And so those are the probing questions that I tend to do with people that get them to open up their vulnerabilities. All right, so once I get the greeting, then it's one of those things where now I'm going to qualify them to find out what they need and want most, and it normally pops right out in the discussion like this. And then I can move into the invite step, and the invite step is if I can show you a way to increase your retirement money, would you listen? Okay, so that's how I set the thing up so that when I do a one-on-one or I do a Zoom call, and I do 99% of all my presentations right here on Zoom, standing right here, just like this. And so that is the way that I go about it. And then based upon what you're looking at on the screen, by the way, Rick,
Yes, sir.
can a person see from your view, can they see what is on my backboard here?
Yes.
Or what's on my screen as in what I love most, that thing?
Cannot read it.
We see your power codes up.
Yeah, the color codes and stuff.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can see that, but you can't see what's behind me.
We
Okay.
see what I love most.
Okay, very good. Then I've got to figure out, like I lost my controls or something. Oh, there it is. It's on my other board. On my other monitor. I'm sorry about that. So let me stop sharing here, because what I was sharing with you is this. Okay, so 69% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings, and then in their retirement accounts they have less than $30,000. And in order to be able to retire at 60 years old, you need $1 million if you want to live on $40,000 a year, and $5 million if you want to live on $200,000 a year. And then this gives the ages of how, if you're 30 years old, you'll need to have put away $100,000 to $300,000. And so that is typically a conversation that I have with people. It's why it's always fresh on my board here, so that I can communicate these concepts. And then I also hit this thing over here, which is there's 300,000 people with a PhD and a bachelor's degree that are on food stamps. And so education isn't necessarily the key. And then these are the jobs that they go and take up: customer service, waiters, executive secretaries, janitors. There are 5,000 janitors with a PhD. Okay, so I just go through that, not to invalidate it, but it's more to say a lot of people chose a profession at one point in their life, and they didn't know anything about the need of retirement money. They didn't think about, the guidance counselor did not say, okay, you want a history, you love history, you want a history degree. How are you going to monetize that? No guidance counselor says that stuff. And so I go, a lot of people chose the wrong route, all right? And if 69% of Americans have less than $1,000, then we've got a major problem. And whatever the mainstream thing is, ain't working. Okay? And so people can say anything they want about network marketing, but that's not working. Okay? So that's that's typically what I run through. And then I hit this one. This is from the IRS. And all of these numbers right across the bottom here, this is running from $50,000 down to $5,000, $1,000 to $5,000. Okay? And the little bar sticking up is the amount of money that is received from partnerships and S corporation type income. In other words, businesses. And so you'll see it start to spike right here at people who make $100,000. They get 13% of their money, their income, from partnerships and S corporations. What I highlighted here and over, that's $1 million to $10 million. And so 73% of the people who make $1 million to $10 million are own a business. And I say businesses are where it's at. In a business, you can either make a whole lot or you can make zero. It all depends on you. And so that's really it depends on you, and it depends on your training. Okay, so that's the way I tie that back. So what I decided, and I just kind of, Rick, I flipped right on my ear here and just decided to set up, because that was what I was always bugged with when I was new and fresh in network marketing was, man, how do you get into the conversation? How do you get that person to ever look at himself and say, I need help, right? Because until they get to that position, they won't listen to anything because they think they got a solution. So that was the reason that I headed that way. I used up my 15 minutes there, and so I want to. I've got tons of other stuff that I can talk about, but I want to respect what you requested.
Tim, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Don't forget your link. Don't forget the link.
Ah, somebody is very on it. Okay, so just make sure that you click on it on the channel video and subscribe to it so that you get all my new updates. I did one today that's ridiculous called "Where Did Network Marketing Get Its Bad Reputation?" And so anyway, Rick, continue. Sorry, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, that's great. That's exactly what people were looking for. The good news is for everybody that this was a great test run. And I guess the bad news for Tim is that I'm going to ask him to come on again, and we will schedule it ahead so all of you can say, man, I wish I would have had a few people on here tonight that could have benefited from this information. Now you're going to have that chance because of my lack of technology ability. So with that in mind, I'm not going to apologize again. I'm just going to say good news is we're going to get Tim again on a call. I'll have to check his schedule hopefully next week, if not maybe the week after. But thank you so much, Tim, and thanks.
It's my honor. My honor.
Awesome.
I'm always open to it. If I'm in town, I'm good to go.
Thank you, my friend. And Shannon, thank you as well for being here and for being such a great leader and your experience and passion. I love that. And for all of you who are committed to being a part of the A-Team, no matter how scary it might seem for you or how out of the box it might be for you, do what I'm doing and just step out there and do it. Find a way to talk to more people because it's really a matter of numbers. You're going to get better at it as you do it more. It's like a muscle that you build. But if you don't get out and start doing it and put yourself out there and have those conversations, it's never going to happen. And things are just going to be repeating themselves over and over and over again, just like they have. So I challenge each of you to take what Tim has brought to the table. Next week, we will be more organized. We'll get this set up. We'll get the information out. And excited about this group. Really excited. I believe.
Hey, Rick?
Yes.
Can I show something real quick that everybody can just screenshot?
Of course.
Okay. All right, everyone. I'm going to show you my template. It's what I work all day long. So let me share the screen real quick here.
Where's the link, though? Where do we find the link?
It's inside the chat box. So if you just click at the bottom of your screen, it'll say chat. Okay, so I'm not going to take up Rick's time here, and so you're going to have to take this quick. Okay, so what this is this right here, you can't see it, but it's leads. Okay, and then it's contact, then appointments, then presentations, follow-up, retail sales, sponsor, train, and these are the things that I train in the very beginning. These are my frequently asked questions if a new thing pops up, and then this is my list of not interested or no response. And so these right here, like you see this one here, Amy, this is a card, and that is a prospect. That prospect, once I contact them, then I just basically drag the card. I'm going to switch my screen real quick here and give you another one that is probably a little more legible. I just made it for Laura. Okay, let me find where that is. Yeah, okay. All right, so this one is, so this one gives it a little bit. I just dropped them in. There's a guy who came up to my yard and he was telling them my trees have some sort of a woolly in it and it's going to kill the tree or something or other. Anyway, the guy just started talking to me. He's from Russia and he's got a sweet family, and he was asking me how in the world that I can live up in the mountains like this. And so he goes into the list because he's interested. He's interested in air filters. And so all I do is once he's a lead, I've already contacted him because he was in my front yard. So I just drag this card that's where he's at right now. I need to set an appointment with him because he keeps asking me questions. And so I want to set an appointment to do a presentation. Okay? And so all I do is just drag this card along the way, right? This was a referral from somebody. He's a customer. He bought the product. And so I leave him right there because I want to follow up with him. Scott, I just recently recruited. And so I'm now moving him. Let me move the bottom of this. I'm now moving him over into the train department. Okay? And then over here is what I'm trying to get them through first. So what I want to do now is I want to get, he's already done this step, which is he came in as an elite and he got on auto delivery. Okay, so my next step with him is to move him over into gold. So what I'm trying to do is get him to gold and then to manager. All right, that is my entire focus. And so everything comes off of this. I just made this for Laura and I ripped out all the names out of it just so that I could give it to Laura. And then when I started this thing tonight, I'm like, uh-oh, because all of mine had the phone numbers right across the front. I'm like, that'd be rude. So anyway, that I wanted to just share with you. That is my system on how I don't get lost, because I sketched on my board. Let me just drop this over here. I sketched on my board, and I told Rick about this, that I created a grid like this, and it says, here's where I am, here's where I want to be by December of 2019, and I drew like 3 humps. And so I said I want to increase my check by 13% per quarter, and what that's going to give me is a 52% increase in my check. And then I broke that down and I said, okay, my numbers are 1 and 7. If I can get somebody into the contact category on that grid I just showed you, if I can get that person to respond back to me, then my numbers are 1 and 7. I didn't say cold lead. I said it can be a cold lead, but if I can get them to the contact point where they respond back to my text or they respond back to my email, if I can get them into that category, my numbers are 1 and 7. And so that is going to require, for me to get 13% increases per quarter of that 13 weeks, right? Then I have to sponsor 1 to 2 people per week. Based upon 1 and 7, what I've got to do is generate 150 leads a week in order to do that. Now that's the cold market. It's different, okay? So I just wanted to pass that over to you so that you got a picture and a glimpse of what my world looks like. And so my first question was, what journey am I on? My journey is that I want to be the most elite 60-year-old that a person has ever seen. And so I have to be that person. Okay, so that was step 1, because that's the journey I'm on. And now I want to grab other guys who want to go on a journey with me, to lose weight, to start slowly exercising again, that then turns them into be all you used to be instead of be all you can be. You know? So that's kind of like what I did on the last of December, and that's the journey I'm on. That's how I know my numbers, things like that. Your numbers may be better in the warm market, you know, but regardless, the numbers, how many doesn't matter. Just do them because it's worth it. Okay, Rick, now.
Thanks, Tim. Interestingly enough, same percentage as I have. So
Really?
that's awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So guys, that's the key right there. And again, looking forward to getting Tim back on. We'll have this all recorded, be set up well, and he'll be well practiced, so he'll know what he wants to say next time and what he wants to leave out. So everybody, listen. Thank you for being a part of the A team. Thank you for the commitment to yourself to be a part of the A team. To set goals for yourself that's going to make a difference in 2019. That's what this is all about. Thank you. Have a great night. We'll see you next week, same time, same bat channel. And take care, everybody. Good night.
Thank you all for being on.
You're awesome, Tim.
Thank you, sir. You too.
Tim, what is that program you're using for your contacts, Tim?
Oh, that's Trello.
Trello, Trello?
Trello. Yeah. And what I'm going to do eventually is I'm going to be able to share this board because I created all of the templates of what you do in each step. And so that I'm going to share that board with everybody in RX.
Oh, that's gonna be beautiful.
Awesome.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.